Of war, 600 days of hoping for the return of hostages in the hands of Hamas. Family members of those hostages, they gathered on a Tel Aviv beach to call for the return of 58 hostages still believed to be held in Gaza. They also called for an end to the war that started on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked Jewish communities in southern Israel. Now, there are also scenes of desperation in Gaza as Palestinians rushed one of 4 new aid centers after the end of a months-long blockade of food and medical supplies. Several people were wounded as warning shots were actually fired by Israel's military. Now, despite the chaos, a Gaza aid group says more than 460,000 meals were delivered. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says Israel is ready to agree to a temporary ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas, but no response yet from Hamas on accepting the terms. Let's turn now to CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer. She's in London for us. First, a new development. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel has killed a senior Hamas leader. Who was he, and what's the significance here, Elizabeth?
He was Mohammed Sinwar. He's the younger brother by about 10 years of Yahya Sinwar, who was the former leader of Hamas. He was killed by the Israelis last fall in very dramatic video. You may remember he was shot by a drone as he was sitting in a house that had been hit by a missile. So the Sinwar family had been very prominent in the leadership of Hamas, and now the 2 main brothers are dead. As you said, Prime Minister Netanyahu announced this in the Knesset, in the parliament today. Apparently he was killed in a strike on the European hospital on the 13th of May, so almost 2 weeks ago now, which is probably means that the Israelis have spent that time doing forensic tests to make sure that this body from that strike really is Mohammed Sinwar. There has been no confirmation from Hamas or anyone in the Arab world. He was thought to be a hardliner opposed to a ceasefire, so some analysts are thinking this may allow Hamas to be more open to a deal to release hostages, 23 of which are thought to be alive, and maybe even a truce that would allow some negotiating room. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and any more details on a temporary ceasefire that U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff says Israel has now agreed to?
It couldn't be murkier, honestly. So far, Hamas and Hamas-run media have been saying, for 48 hours now, that they have accepted a proposal from Steve Witkoff, who's President Trump's Mideast envoy. But Witkoff is saying, no, that's not so, and Hamas's proposals so far in these negotiations are completely unacceptable. And as for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's been saying for some time he was hoping to announce progress in talks, but there doesn't seem to be anything solid out there at this stage, and certainly no common ground that all 3 parties can publicly agree on. So on that, too, we're just going to have to wait.
Wow, another wait-and-see situation. Okay, take us through the chaos at the U.S.-backed aid distribution center in Gaza. Officials out there, what are they saying about how this situation was handled?
You know, there are no independent media inside Gaza, and so we're relying on what we're hearing from our colleagues inside Gaza, Palestinians. I can tell you that this food organization is a new group. It's called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. They began distributing food a couple of days ago, and today the whole situation deteriorated. Thousands of Palestinians showed up to get food, and something made the crowd go crazy. Israel's military said it fired warning shots, but it said they didn't fire into the crowd. What actually happens isn't clear. Some of the video does show people bloodied in the confusion. Hamas is claiming that 3 people were killed and 46 others were wounded. The foundation staff denies this. But this foundation group has been at the center of controversy for some time. It's a private venture, and it puts armed American security contractors into Gaza to distribute aid instead of the NGOs who have been doing it since the start of the war, like the United Nations and the World Food Program. Israel is trying to edge those international agencies out. It says that they siphon off aid and they have employed Gazans with links to Hamas. Now, of course, they deny that. And they are also refusing to cooperate with this private Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, U.S.-backed, a kind of a Israeli-U.S. joint venture, if you like. The international groups, aid groups, say it's not partial, it's not independent, and it's going to really cleave to Israel's political agenda in Gaza. Critics also point out that it represents the privatization of an essential humanitarian service that until now has been done by public agencies with years of experience.
Elizabeth, I also want to ask you about Pope Leo, because he appealed for a ceasefire today. What did he say? And is there pressure from world leaders to bring an end to the conflict?
Well, he voiced what millions of people feel all around the world. He asked for a ceasefire in Gaza and appealed to all sides to respect humanitarian law. Much as we may wish for that at the moment, as we've just indicated, there doesn't seem to be a lot of solid progress toward a ceasefire. And certainly over the past couple of weeks, especially in Europe, public sentiment is really turning hard against Israel. People who are watching the news just say the price is too high.
Yeah. Okay, CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer, thank you so much for your time today.